welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since I posted, but I'm back and I'd like to say I'm better than ever, but you're alive, hey. But here we go, guys. I would like to thank all my new subscribers. Thank you guys so much for subscribing to my channel. It means a lot, every single one of you. Thank you so much for subscribing. We're on the road officially to 200 subscribers, and I am happy to say that we've gotten up to 185 subscribers at this particular time. In my previous video I did say that I'd be sharing a schedule with you guys, but my life has been up and down as of late, so I don't think I'll be able to do that. But today what we will be talking about is my experience as a Unisa student, as well as the subject AFL for all those first years or whenever you're taking this module. Yeah, so I'll just be giving a summary of notes for you guys. So the module AFL is language through an African lens. Just a quick disclaimer, guys, before we continue. Please remember that I am not a lawyer, so everything that I'm saying to you guys is as my personal experience as a Unisa student, and in all my videos I will be guiding you through modules that I personally took at Unisa, and none of this information belongs to me. You can find this information on the Unisa website, which I will link in the description below. So, my experience as a law student. Hold on one second, let me just get some water because you know your girl gotta stay hydrated. My experience as a law student at Unisa has been, for lack of a better word, different. Because I am a paralegal by profession. So when I did my paralegal qualification, we had lectures. So I think I was used to a certain way of learning. But definitely as a Unisa student, you have to be very disciplined. You have to know that this time is set aside for my studying, and I will not neglect that. Because at Unisa, you don't have lecturers that are going to constantly be telling you, you know, you didn't attend this class, so you have to make up the credits for attending this class or anything like that. With Unisa, you definitely have to be disciplined. You definitely have to be honest with yourself and tell yourself, look, the reason I entered this subject is because I want to be 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? And in our case as legal students is because we want to eventually one day become advocates, or eventually one day become attorneys, or eventually one day become, I don't know what your personal goal is for attaining your LLB, but you told yourself that this is exactly what you want to do when you finish your LLB. You know what I mean? So you definitely have to be experienced. My first year my first year at Unisa, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm going to be very blunt and very frank with you guys. I didn't know what I was doing. Then I also made the decision to say that, you know what, I need to make sure that when I finish this course, this is what I want to do. My personal goal is I want to become an attorney. And the reason I want to become an attorney is so that I can start my own firm that particularly specializes in family law. And I will tell you guys, I definitely underestimated family law. Family law, I know there's a lot of students out there that'll be like, no, but I aced family law. And no, but like I was amazing in family law. Good for you. Good for you, man. Because I'm gonna tell you the truth. As much as I want to specialize in family law said to me, hey, I'm not popping place. I'm not popping place, and you're gonna have to study for me. You're gonna have to study, my girl. But basically what I wanted to tell you guys is that my experience as a Unisa first year law student was very, very, very difficult, because I was trying to grapple with the fact that now I have to be in charge of my own learning. I have to be in charge of when I study, and I have to be disciplined with when I log into the portal and have discussions with other students. The wonderful thing about Unisa, guys, I think there's a lot of There's a lot of misconceptions about Unisa. There's a lot of people, I know, especially in my inboxes, I've noted a lot of people have been asking me, what's the difference between a Unisa student and a VIT student or a UJ student? With Unisa, as a Unisa student, I have to tell you that Unisa, for me, this is based off of my experience. For me, Unisa is the best school because it teaches you have to be in charge of your own studies and you have to be disciplined to be able to get to where you are or where you want to be in life. You definitely have to study and be disciplined at studying. That's not to say that I've always been a diligent, studious person, because I have not. But guys, if you have internet access, please log on to your portals, have discussions with the lecturers, interact with your lecturers, because for me, I did not interact with any of my lecturers. And the piece of advice that I can give any of Unisa students, whether in South Africa or outside of South Africa, definitely try and log onto your portals, have discussions with the lecturers, contact the lecturers, be an active person on the portals. It's not easy for me. Based off of my experience, it hasn't been an easy journey, but I think from second year on, I noted that, you know what, I've chosen this and I'm going to stick to it. Stick to it, guys. It's honestly very rewarding when you stick to it. What I can give you guys who have been asking me in my inboxes, what has my experience been as a Unisa student and what makes me different from a Wits law student or a UJ law student. I deeply appreciate the fact that I'm able to study through Unisa because I am a very disciplined person. I've become a very disciplined person in my studies. That's not to say that we don't have mistakes, because there are times when I just want to like sit and watch sitcoms or YouTube, or you know, but you definitely have to be very disciplined in your approach to your studies at Unisa. So yeah, I think if you have started studying at Unisa, guys, as they would say in Zulu, kubeka. I'm not Zulu, but kubeka, guys. So if my Zulu is messing up, they correct me there down there in the comments below. I'ma take it. Okay, but yeah, guys, having said that about my experience at Unisa, let's get right into the first half of AFL. The abbreviation of AFL1501 is Language Through an African Lens. So AFL has no prescribed textbook, and what I mean by that is there is no textbook that you need to consult specifically for AFL. AFL is based on your Unisa portal, so you have to log in to access the AFL material, and it's a interactive module. So AFL has 5 units. One is language as a process. Unit 2 is how language signifies attitudes and worldview. Number 3 is language and identity. Number 4 is language and interpersonal interaction. And number 5 is Ubuntu and Ubuntu, self and other. I'm going to repeat those. The 5 units of AFL are: Unit 1, language as a process. Unit 2, how language signifies attitude and worldview. Unit 3, language and identity. Unit 4, language and interpersonal interaction. Unit 5, Ubuntu, self and other. So we're definitely going to be dealing with this module in a 2-part series. So I just want you guys to definitely grasp and understand AFL, as well as interact in the comment section below, of course, with me and with other students on how we can approach this module and how we can definitely pass this module. So yeah, guys. So guys, you're gonna have to excuse me because I'm going to be using my laptop to definitely discuss the notes that I have for you guys in this video. We're going to approach Unit 1 now. Let's deal with Unit 1, language as a process. What is the purpose of this module? We need to, 1, develop competencies in interacting successfully in a multicultural society. As we all know, in South Africa, we have 11 official languages, which are namely Afrikaans, English, Sepedi, Sesotho, Southern Ndebele, Swazi, Tsonga, Setswana, Venda, Xhosa, and isiZulu. Students of the law definitely need to view language as a process in terms of identity, of self, especially in South Africa. Key phrases that we need to understand in this module are as follows: conservation, linguistic identity, linguistic environment, speech situation, language of survival, self-reflection, recursion, misunderstanding, and difference. So important questions that we're going to have to ask ourselves in this module are as follows. 1. What extent does your background and culture influence the way that you use language to communicate with other people? And 2, have you, as a law student, noticed that we use different languages and registers of language in the same situation when we speak to different people? So in our module, we're given the following example. Imagine that you are an interviewer, and then you are approached by a person who isn't dressed formally for the interview. How would you react to that person? What would you say, or how would you use language in that situation? And what would be the different words that you used? And then now imagine yourself in a different situation with a person who is dressed formally and well presented. How would you then use language? Think deeply about what you would say to this person. It's obvious that each of us answer the question differently because we have different attitudes to the people that appear before us. And each of us have a specific identity that we need to preserve in order to survive linguistically within each specific situation and be adaptable to different speech situations. We need to be authentically ourselves, really be ourselves, to adhere to human need for the conservation of identity, as well as to be able to adapt in every speech situation and linguistic environment that we find ourselves with in our legal careers. So it's important for us then to understand the meaning of words. The meaning of words are important when we communicate words that we use in everyday language, and these are seen as instruments that we use in our communication. So the study guide even points to the fact that every individual linguistics identity has an idiolect, and this is a variety of language and grammar, words or idioms, and pronunciations that are unique to every person. It then evolves into an ecolect. And what is an ecolect? An ecolect is a dialect variant that is specific to a particular household. For example, in my case, I am fluent in 3 languages and I use them interchangeably every day. It is also important to take note of how we speak and how others interpret what we're saying. And also to remember that whenever we use language, particularly our own language or even English, we're reflecting who we are and how we are organized, as well as how we adapt to our relationships and patterns of behavior. Remember that language is the medium with which people present their frames of reference, unique blueprints and attitudes and worldviews. Let's move on then to how we see each other, language diversity in South Africa. So, Unisa students, we're given an article that speaks about a story about a couple who adopted 2 young black girls. This is a white couple who adopted 2 young black girls and how they adapted in society. I'm not going to go into detail about this, but it's important that you read this article. Let's discuss context. What do we mean by context, and why is it so important? Without context, then, our conversations or communications with one another would be random and they wouldn't make any sense. For example, I guess the illustration that I could give is the fact that I'm speaking to you guys. If you didn't have context of the fact that I'm speaking about law or legal language, then this conversation wouldn't make sense to you. It's the same with language. Language becomes the tool for drawing important distinctions when contextualizing. The study guide even prescribes processes for distinctions or differences regarding context. People often draw distinctions or differences based on epistemology, which is knowledge and justified belief, a set of immanent rules used in thought by large groups of people to define reality. I'm going to repeat that again. People draw distinctions or differences based on their epistemology. This is knowledge and justified belief, or a set of immanent rules used in thought by large groups of people to define reality. And these distinctions are described in words. Words carry meanings as perceived by our individual experiences. So it's important to derive our meanings from language. And it's also important to note that language may be described as a means to an end and a context with which we live. Language also drives the choreography and behavior of social organization that is important or essential to survival and creativity. Remember that we are all linked to each other and the world through language. So, let's come to the end of Unit 1, Reflections and Misunderstandings. As human beings, we need to interact with each other to survive. And we use words and meanings to coordinate our individual behaviors. Our study guide portray our different cultures as a club and misunderstandings that come from or originate from operating in different clubs whose words or rules are different. Our differences help us to understand each other. Our differences should be celebrated as a multicultural context, as this fuels creativity and change. So guys, this is what we've learned so far in AFL. We definitely need to use language in everyday life. So that's the end of Unit 1. We're going to learn about Unit 2 through to 5 in Part 2. So stay tuned, guys. So to my 5 subscribers that I'm going to shout out, thank you so much to Fundi. Thank you so much to Adelaide Matsatsi Hemese. Thank you so much to Lisedi Mulefe. Thank you so much to Angel N. Sangweni. Thank you so much to Sandile Mbizeni. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. Stay tuned for Part 2. Goodbye.